Hi everyone, and welcome to another bite-sized presentation on how e-commerce practices can improve your fundraising efforts. My name is Ron Cass. I'm the founder and CEO of Big River, and we host these bite-sized webinars. I've been in software for about 30 years professionally and 20 years pro bono working with nonprofits, executive directors, advancement development professionals. I run a few fundraisers and founded Big River Online to take some of the best practices that we discovered from the e-commerce space and put them into software tools that can help development staff like yourselves raise money more effectively online. This is one of our series of bite-sized webinars meant to be a real quick presentation of some of the best practices from e-commerce and how they can improve your fundraising efforts, and hope you enjoy it. Today we're going to talk about 3 simple best practices that every nonprofit should apply to online giving. These come out of years of experience in the e-commerce world with what has worked in closing sales more effectively, and they can be used to close donations and other fundraising transactions more effectively for your organizations. The first is keeping branding consistent. So it's important in the e-commerce world to keep a consistent brand experience from the web page that an individual clicks on to begin their encounter with the organization, all the way through to making the transaction and ultimately through the receiving and follow-up communication. A number of studies have been done applying this notion to the fundraising world. One study from Network for Good indicates that charity websites with a branded donating page that matches their organization's brand were 5 times more effective at closing donations than those with just a generic donation page. Another personal study from an individual fundraiser shifting from PayPal to a branded page changed their abandonment rate, so the number of people that clicked on the page and didn't go through with a transaction changed that from 36% of people who came in and did not follow through with their gift to less than 1%. So 99% of the people who clicked on making the gift completed their transaction just by shifting from a generic PayPal page to their own branded page. Let's see what that looks like. So one organization considers Zeta Psi Fraternity, an international fraternity that has an educational, a 501c3 foundation, as well as a 501c7. Notice their branding is very strong. They went through a web redesign about a year and a half ago, and this is a WordPress-based page for their overall organization presence. Previously, they were working with PayPal for donations, and when someone would click on the donate button, they'd see a very generic PayPal page. And this turned out to be very ineffective for them. They knew, however, knowing their membership and knowing the membership's willingness to give, that they should be converting more donations. And after switching to a branded page, particularly for their recurring giving, notice that we're on their organization's branding again. It looks like their individual is transacting with the organization itself. Gives them a lot more confidence that the donation is going to the organization. In this way, it reduces abandonment that we talked about before. Notice that we're on their own domain. We're not switching to PayPal. And not to pick on PayPal, but a transition from one domain to another is a cause of abandonment as people begin to question, hey, where's the money going? Is all of it going to the organization, etc.? And this is shown to be more effective for them at raising money. So that one simple thought, just keeping the branding consistent from your organization's overall communication page, your content, to your donation page, is proven to raise money more effectively. Okay, the second point here is to present a prominent and compelling call to action. And what we mean by that, first, is just from a style and content point of view, to make sure that your call to action, your button, your link, it's clear, it's attention grabbing, it stands out in terms of font and color and contrast, and it's visible from every page on your website. Now, in addition, you may have call to actions within content. So within a story about a volunteer or someone who's benefited from the organization, you may have a link that takes someone who's interested in supporting or taking action to do so at that point. But in the same way that we talked about the branding being consistent, making the ask consistent on every page is important. Also, from a language point of view, think about this from the donor's point of view. Put yourself on the other side of the browser, if you will. People want to be connected with the good an organization does, whether that be through supporting the mission through donations, taking action through petitions, advocacy, through volunteering. No one, though, wants to just sign up for another email or to be thought of as just a source of funds. So if you can put your ask, your call to action, in terms that tell the donor or constituent what action they're going to take, what benefit they're going to create from taking that action, it's much more compelling. So one organization that we work with does this throughout their campaigning. Instead of asking for cash in terms of amount of money, they talk about how many meals that you are raising. So instead of their ask being donate $50, it's feed 100 children. Similarly, instead of saying sign up for another email, sign up for a newsletter, sign up for calls to action, sign up for notifications, tell them that they will be informed, continue to be informed about your cause or about the action being taken or your mission. You can even spice that up and make that more compelling by giving it some urgency. You know, you're keeping them informed in the fight against your mission, or fight for your mission. And then finally, an example, instead of just asking for their signature on a petition, make it more compelling. Let your voice be heard. You're telling them that they are empowered. We'll talk about this in the third point. But let me bring that all together for you with United Church of Christ, which you'll notice does a few of those things here. They've got a very prominent donate button. Notice how it contrasts from the rest of the website. And then their other calls for action are more in terms of what the donor wants to do. So I don't want to sign up for a newsletter. I don't want to sign a petition. I want to advocate for justice. And some of that includes being informed, but at the top is our take action, our sign up for effectively a newsletter. Instead of donation, it's change the world. Now, this is much more compelling than make a cash donation. This is what the donor wants to do. They want to take change, especially if they're already affiliated with the organization. So think about who your donor is, think about the different types of donors you have, and what relationship they have with your organization today to make that call to action much more compelling. One final thought on your call to action link. When someone has clicked on that call to action, take them directly to the action that you want them to perform. We see a lot of organizations that will take a donate link and take the donor first to a page that describes what a donation does, how important it is, but doesn't contain the actual transaction form. That's a mistake. In the e-commerce space, we know that every click is precious, and forcing the donor to take one more click to get from their desire to donate through a message to the actual form to take the donation raises the risk that they will abandon the donation and make the call to action effectively less effective. Okay, third is to communicate the value or the impact of the gift. This is very important. As I said before, fundraising is most effective when it communicates to the donor and connects the donor's dollar to the impact that it has. So you get the effect of the donor almost taking the mission of the organization in their own hands. They're not giving you money, they're doing good through your channel. So for example, we take lessons out of the product management world in e-commerce, where the role of a marketer or a product manager is to understand their customers so well that their products practically sell themselves. The similar aim in development or advancement would be to understand the needs of the donor, the goals of the donor so well that your ask practically fulfills itself. A couple quotes out there. A well-crafted donation page will help seal the deal. One that focuses solely on the transaction is empty, uninspiring. If you're just telling the donor that you're only interested in their money, that's a much thinner and less impactful message than saying, hey, we want you to help with our mission. Particularly for millennials. So millennials are a special crop in that studies are showing that they prefer to give time instead of money, and they prefer to have a voice in where that money is going. Now, they don't have a lot of time. They're building careers. They're building lives. And so when making an ask to millennials, in particular, you want to tell them what that gift is doing in such a way that you're almost putting a soft designation in front of them. Think again to that example where you're not asking them for $50, you're asking them to feed 200 children. A follow-up study from 2011 surveyed donors that gave and then made repeat gifts to charities. And some of the figures out of that reinforce this notion. 76% of donors that gave said that they gave because the charity in part explained the specific impact of the gift to them. Furthermore, after the gift, they were told what the gift accomplished and felt that the gift made a difference. And these are factors that also led to follow-up gifts. Let's see some examples of that. So Oxfam is very good at this in terms of telling you not that they need money, but what dollars will do in terms of the impact of the organization. So you can see examples of here that $20 to $80 will provide a pair of sheep to a community in need. $40 will provide an emergency kit for one family. So you have almost a shopping experience where people can find the sort of impact that communicates with them, that provides the sort of gift that they would want to give, and of course that results in a donation to your organization. Here's another example. They don't have to be as glossy and fancy as the Oxfam example. They can be very clear and have that same impact, even if it's just some text associated with dollar levels. This is from Restore New York City, an organization that helps support families in New York, and they're telling you again what the impact of your gift does. In not so much the shopping experience there, but really making it clear, trying to build you up, build the donor up to making that transaction, to getting over the hump of do I want to give to, hey, I want to have these impacts. Another thing you can do is bundle up gifts or present them thematically, if you will. Again, we're looking at sort of an e-commerce way of presenting a catalog at donors. And you can, if you have a multi-faceted organization, if you have a lot of designated funds, for example, you can group those in ways that start to steer the donor from their broad impulse to give, what they generally want to do. So I want to support athletics, I want to support my class, I want to support part of the organization's mission, and then steer them down into particular designated funds that are within that impact. So that's a bite-sized bit of knowledge from the e-commerce space that can improve your online fundraising. Join us for more of these topics. You can send us a request if there's a specific topic that you'd like for us to address, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive these as we produce them, or sign up for our newsletter to receive information you can use to improve your online fundraising in your inbox. Until next time, thanks for listening.